Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Pisces for June 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out my blog, and also I will be opening enrollment soon for my Astrology Apprenticeship Program and my Coach Certification course that includes my online business course. So if you're interested in having either of these things as your profession or just learning for fun, then check them out. So what's going on in the month of June? This is a full speed ahead month. This is one of 2 months this year, only 2 months this whole year, that we don't have any influence from personal planets being retrograde. And it's very exciting. We've got a ton of amazing aspects, which I will go into date by date in detail. But one of them that I won't mention later that we're going to get deep into now is Jupiter is going direct. I love Jupiter. Jupiter is my ruling sign as a Sagittarius, and it's not just because it's my ruling sign that I love it. It's because it's the great benefic. It's a powerhouse of the universe that supports growth and expansion and benevolence and luck. And whenever Jupiter is sleepy, it's working on different aspects of our lives. You know, it's never off duty or even necessarily off its game. It's just working on the more subtle levels of our experience. But there can be a sense of decreased optimism and enthusiasm, and, you know, it's just much more magical when Jupiter's direct. So this is what's going on in June. June 9th is a big day. So I want to focus on where Jupiter is for all of the early, middle, and late degree Pisces placements. And this will be accurate whether you are a Pisces sun or whether Pisces is your rising sign. I'm calling the theme of the month for Pisces specifically expanding we. And that's because Jupiter is working on either your 8th house or your 7th house. And the 7th and 8th houses are the we houses of our charts. There are 2 partnership houses, there are relationship houses. So you early degree placements, when Jupiter reawakens, is going to be activating this sector of your life. And what I mean by early degree placements are like the first 10 degrees or so if you're watching for your rising sign, and the first 10 days of the Pisces sun sign for the year you were born. The reason why exact dates are tricky because the sun doesn't actually move into Pisces on the same date every year. I mean, I don't know if you knew that, but this is part of why, if you read different things about what dates Pisces goes from, that they're not always the same and they're staggered because each year it's a little bit different. So it's the first 10 days the year you were born that would make you an early degree placement. But we can roughly say, you know, just figure out the first 10 degrees around about of the sign, and that's early. The second 10 days, so from like 10 to 20, or 10 to 19 are the middle degree placements, and then 20 to 29 degrees, you're the late degree placements, whether it's your sun or your rising sign. Okay, so now we have it figured out who's who. The early degree placements have Jupiter awakening in the 8th house. When Jupiter, the great benefic, awakens in the 8th house, this brings a great and growing focus and luck on the topics of other people's money. This is when Jupiter's in the 8th house, this is one of the best times to draw in money from anywhere. Sweepstakes, winnings, lotto, finding money on the ground, inheritances, you know, anywhere money can come from that's not your own doing or your own work, just kind of randomly out there, other people's money. This is what's really awakening now. So you've got this push into Jupiter helping you with this area of your life. So it's not just money, it's also access to money like credits. So wanting to buy a house, you know, student loans, wanting to get venture capital money, anything where you need other people's money is going to be awakening again. Now, for you middle and late degree placements, this is coming for you, but it's not quite as strong as it will be in months to come. So I have seen people both either get more debt or clear up debt with this transit. But usually the gathering of more debt, if you're using it for a good purpose, can be a very positive thing. You know, you do have to be careful with your spending because Jupiter is excessive and it wants to spend money. So just try to place it in the right, you know, in positive things that can bring you money back. This is also one of the emotional houses, the 8th house. So, and it's one of the houses on talks about intimacy and deep relationships. It's the house of sex. It's the house of power and, you know, these deep emotional connections that we have with people. So when Jupiter expands that, your experience of all of those things can expand. So whether it's self or going deeper into a partner and clearing up intimacy issues and expanding connections with a partner, this is a really exciting time. It's your best chance in 12 years, for 12 years, to really work with the deeper, intimate energies of your experience. This is also the house of birth, death, and rebirth. You know, this is the Pluto house, and Pluto is just like a powerhouse of the universe that is like the phoenix rising. So there's the dying, but then there's the rebirth, and, you know, so there are some times where when Jupiter is passing through the 8th house that it brings the energy of death into your life in a more intimate way through near-death experiences for yourself or other people, for people actually passing away. But very often it doesn't have anything to do with that. It just brings the energy of those kinds of things into your life to be evaluated more deeply. So research and investigation, mysteries, you can solve mysteries during this time in really big ways too. So that's the 8th house. So the rest of you have the energy in the 7th house, and the 7th house has to do with relationships, but it's more not your resources. You know, the 8th house is like you and your stuff and the person and their stuff and resources and money and all of that stuff. But the 7th house is just the relationships themselves, the connection between two people. So this is one of the best periods of time to enhance your relationship with your partner or anyone who you're in close personal relationship to. Romantic, business, friendship, your neighbor if you have a close relationship with them. This is just the best transit ever for enhancing your relationships. If you have clients, having more clients, this is a time where you might have a monumental increase in your client base. You know, if you're trying to get into work where you have clients or you already have this, you might see your client count multiply by an astronomical amount. There's also a very strong chance of receiving benefits from people close to you, like something someone else did or is doing that they help you, and forming powerful partnerships. And this is the same for the 8th house too, is this energy of you pairing up with somebody. So like, let's say you're a writer and you're looking for a literary agent or a publisher. You are more attractive to those people who will be powerful players in working with you on something at this time than you are when Jupiter's not in your 7th house. So it's a very magical time of coming together. Sometimes Jupiter brings excess, so it can bring like too many people into your romantic life, or unwelcome people into your romantic life if there are issues that have to be resolved, or too many people into your work life, or whatever. You know, every aspect of Jupiter can be taken to the nth degree, and that's one of its drawbacks. So you just have to kind of be aware of the expansive nature and try to expand at a rate that makes sense for your situation. Peace diplomacy and mutually beneficial agreements are often gotten to at this time. So if you have discord with somebody, like if you're in a lawsuit with somebody, or if there's someone that's hassling you, the chance for having a transcendent resolution to come is much better now. And since we're in a time where, you know, we don't have any retrograde personal planets, it's even more supportive of coming to an agreement with somebody. Jupiter in the 7th house also rules artistic, aesthetic things. So if you're an artist, or if you're trying to improve the aesthetics in your life, Jupiter can be very helpful to that. So Jupiter is actually in the sign of Libra. And so for you all, the middle to late degree placements, it's also in the house of Libra. So that just makes more power for your partnership energy. That's why I'm calling this expanding we. for you Pisces placements. So these are the main things on my mind for you to focus on to see what Jupiter is awakening. You can also check out my blog, Jupiter Through the Signs and Houses, on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, because I have a written version of points of Jupiter in the different signs and houses so that you can work with it a little bit easier than just listening to it. So check that out. And now I want to talk about the amazing, beautiful aspects that we have. There are so many this month. I just love this month so much. So I'll go date by date for the highlights. And there's a couple of little spots to look out for, which I'll give you more details about. So I'm calling the theme of the month for the general transits for June for all signs full speed ahead. This is definitely one of my favorite months of the whole year. It is one of the months that carries with it the most momentum and forward-moving energy that is more supported by positive aspects. This is one of 2 months in the whole year of 2017, June and October, that is completely free from personal planet retrogrades and their shadow periods. May introduced us into this period of movement because we had been in just kind of retrograde inner movement mode from the end of 2016 through well into May. So you started to see things moving and progressing and bursting out into the world in May, and now June carries that forward in a big way. And although July will also have until around the 24th or so some clear energy and great transits for moving forward, towards the end of June we start to get a little dicey where those challenging aspects are a little bit more closely matched up with the positive aspects that make it kind of like touch and go. But for the first over 3 weeks, really until like the 24th of June, we just have amazing aspects and complete clear energy to sail. So I'm going to go into some of the aspects and the dates that I really like and the ones that I see some potential challenges, just all the things to take note of. And know that you can go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter. And in that newsletter, I do a write-up, so a written summary of the aspects and dates ahead, and I send that out a month early. So if you're a visual person and you want to keep better track of some of the things that I report in this part of the video, then you can sign up for the free email newsletter, and you can get it that way too. So the first of the month is one of my favorite days for locking in something long-term. If you have been watching my videos for a while, or at least since the end of 2016, then you know I have been kind of coaching you along. Okay, we don't have a lot of great movement for pushing things forward. We had a little bit at the beginning of the year, but now is the time when if you have a launch, if you have a big commitment, if you have a big decision, that we've got some really great energy. And June 1st is the first aspect that I love. So Venus in Aries is making a beautiful trine to Saturn in Sagittarius. So anything that you have to do for long term involving love, beauty, and money. I had a lot of people write to me from my Venus retrograde video that they were wanting to do some physical improvements and enhancements, and the Venus retrograde time was not the time to do that. But if you're looking for times to do that, this is a much better time. Love commitments, big love decisions, money commitments, starting businesses, launching different aspects of your already established business. I love this date for this. And May 31st is also amazing if you're watching this beforehand. So the 31st through the 1st, you've got a power lineup that's pretty free and clear from negative or challenging aspects. On June 3rd, we have Venus in Aries, again, conjunct Uranus. Now, whenever we have planets get together in a conjunction, that means they're right on top of each other. They're at the same degree in the same sign. There's always a potential for something challenging to happen that is not positive. But there's so much good energy sandwiched around it, it makes the odds greater that it will be a positive outcome. And if it isn't, there's support that can buoy you in whatever the negative or challenging thing may be. So Venus rules money and love and beauty, and Uranus rules surprises and insights. So most people will experience happy surprises and just great, brilliant ideas from this, but there could be a jostling piece of money news or love news that comes in that isn't positive as well, because we just never know how these things are going to manifest. On June 3rd as well, the Sun in Gemini makes a beautiful trine to Jupiter in Libra. Trines are the best aspects, the most positive, easy. I don't want to say the best aspects because it depends on what you're judging by the best. I think that challenging angles are the best too because they provide impetus and energy to push through challenges. But we'll call it more favorable and easy and flowing and coherent. So the Sun in Gemini is making this coherent aspect with Jupiter in Libra, and that is bringing great support for your individual expression from your relationship space, and also having your individual expression boost your relationships, and helping people that you're in relationship with. So the energy could flow both ways, where you're helping someone you're in relationship with, or they're helping you. On June 4th, Venus in Aries is also making a trine, a beautiful aspect to the transiting North Node in Leo. So we talked a little bit about the transiting North Node in recent months. And this is a place where there is a key or keys held to your highest expression. So when you have Venus ruling this love and beauty and money and art and just aesthetics and, beautiful energy, in this beautiful aspect with your highest expression, many a person is going to stumble upon a key or a piece that will, or a step that will facilitate their higher expression. On June 4th, there's also a challenging aspect with the Sun in Gemini and making a square to Neptune in Pisces. How I'm reading this is, Pisces can always bring confusion or doubt or doubt in general. And the fact that the Sun is an aspect to it, it can bring this self-doubt. So I always see for myself and for people that I'm working with, that whenever we have this boost of positive energy where we're pushing forward and we're feeling really positive about what we're doing, the shadow side comes in and the fears come up. Like, okay, you're putting yourself out in the world in this bigger way, and then some fears come in. And this is kind of like that. We have a couple of points this month where there's like this big push of energy forward, and then there's the second guessing energy. So this energy has the second guessing energy where you're questioning what you're doing and what you're putting out there. And, but I say just push right through it. If there's something usable in there with a reflection that comes back to you, then use it. And if not, then just ignore it and move on. On June 9th, we have the full moon in Sagittarius. It's also aspecting Saturn. And so when Saturn is nearby, it can bring a reality check, like a sobering look at something. And the full moon tends to bring emotional things. So there could be a sobering realization about something. But it's equally as likely that Saturn can work as a stable, wise helper in the fulfillment or the fruition or the coming to completion or manifestation of this energy of Sagittarius. So whenever we have a full moon, we look to the sign that it's in to see the energy of the fullness. So Sagittarius represents writing, teaching, learning, publishing, spiritual studies of any kind, religious or, things that tie in all religions or no religions. Anything that works with a creative solution, kind of looking from the standpoint of being on a mountain down at the bigger picture. So many people will have a trip that they're going to take that comes to fulfillment. Many people will publish a book, will publish blogs, will start a blog, will have some speaking engagement of note, something coming to fruition in Sagittarius. And it could be that this is solidifying a long-term trend for the future. And that's a way that Saturn can be helpful here. Saturn's been moving through Sagittarius and sort of taking these energies of the big dreams that are up here and forcing you to do the work to bring them down into fruition. And so I see this as hard work manifested in a wonderful result with Sagittarius based things. So also on the 9th, there is an aspect with Venus in Taurus and Mars in Cancer. And this is wonderful for heart to hearts. The energy of Mars in Cancer is a little bit awkward because Mars generally rules, Aries and is a co-ruler of Scorpio. And there's sort of this intensity, and it's, and Aries energy is, very physical. It's not very emotional. So in this energy of Cancer, it's a little bit awkward. But in this beautiful angle with Venus, it's like a really beautiful coming together with Venus and Mars, which of course is the female and male aspects of ourselves, the active and passive aspects. So I love that date. Another beautiful day this month is June 13th, and that's when Mercury in Gemini will make a trine with Jupiter in Libra. This is a writer's delight or an expressor's delight, a communicator's delight. Editing is very strongly featured when we're talking about Gemini energy or Mercury energy too. So again, I love this for book launches, for blog launches, for something big where you're teaching or learning or helping people. The energy, since it's excessive, Jupiter can always be a little excessive, you know, so even at a nice angle, you could be driven to exhaustion, but this is fine because we've been waiting to push out these things into the world for so long that if you're a little bit tired from the process of doing it, I think that's fine, you know? And I also see this follow-up energy on June 15th with the Sun in Gemini opposing Saturn as kind of another little like fear bobble that I talked about before. You know, there's all this energy just pushing open and out, and it's so supportive and so wonderful. And we've got just these little kind of touching in points where we're like questioning, we're doubting, there's a little bit of a halt in activity. We kind of have to, you know, pull back the reins a little bit. So that's going on June 15th. And always remember that when I give you these dates, you can feel these aspects before or after the actual date. So don't hang your hat too heavily on the actual date, because if you're paying attention, you'll feel the energy sometimes sooner or sometimes after the fact. So on June 16th, Neptune in Pisces goes retrograde. I see Neptune in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces going retrograde as this amazing time to be okay with being reclusive. I think people need way more alone time than they get. And for the people who are having too much alone time, perhaps it's not being productive. And Neptune in Pisces in retrograde can really facilitate that, you know? So just asking for more alone time, even if it's just 10 minutes in the day to be in your own energy field. People definitely strongly underestimate the importance of having just your own energy field around you sometimes. And this Neptune in Pisces transit is really amazing for getting back in touch with what it feels like in your energy field. You know, draining it out, clearing it out, and seeing what it feels like in there, and getting more familiar with what your energy is when it's not mixed with all the other people that you are, you know, brushing up against, your field's brushing up against throughout the day. Yes, let's see. Okay, so June 18th, we have another beautiful aspect with the Sun in Gemini making a sextile, which is a favorable angle to Uranus and Aries. Whenever we have this 60-degree angle, it wants some action. You know, trines are energies that tend to just bring things, whether you do anything with them or not. And these sextile energies are things that they really want you to take action on. So like an opportunity is presented, but you have to do something with it. Or you have two potentials sitting together and then you have to activate them. I always think about these angles as having ingredients on your counter in your kitchen, you know, for whatever it is that you want to make, cookies or whatever. And so it's like you have everything there you need to make the cookies, but you have to actually mix them together and bake them and to make them. So as you have opportunities that come to you, we are just leaving a time where it was sort of time to mull over those opportunities or to take small steps or intuitively based steps and not just go blasting forward for the sake of it. But this type of energy, and we've got another one coming up, which I'm about to mention, is sort of this time to like take action and activate. On June 18th as well, we have Mercury in Gemini opposing Saturn in Sagittarius. So this is another little bit of a, it could be a fear bobble, or it could be just like a break point, you know? When Saturn opposes Mercury, there's some sort of a person being stern, an authority figure putting the clamps on your expression, you know, when we're not regulating ourselves, something steps in from outside in this, you know, we're in this reflective experience in the universe, this holographic experience. So if we can't control or manage or regulate ourselves, often something comes from outside to do that. So as we live in sync with the aspects in astrology that are occurring and with other synchronicities in our lives, it makes it more clear when something is kind of nudging us to back off a little bit, you know? So this is a full speed ahead month. We've got a couple of touching points where it's like you have to manage your horsey so that it doesn't get out of control and you don't go too fast and fall over. So I see this as another point here around the 18th. And also, you know, just to kind of check in with you and your purpose and your intuition, because sometimes someone says something from outside of us that can serve to damper our energy about something we're doing. But if it's not true for us, then you can just keep moving on. And if you are sensitive to it, then that shows you that you have a little bit more inner work to do, because it's still bothering you what other people think in a way that might be interfering with what you're supposed to be doing. So on June 20th, Mercury in Gemini makes a sextile to Uranus in Aries. We talked about the Sun making the same aspect a couple of days before, and now we have Mercury doing the same thing. So your expression is given a major boost, a major insight, you know, some brilliant energy comes in to support you. This is a really amazing energy. But again, you might have to do something with it. There's like a potential sitting there and you have to activate it. On the 21st, and now we're starting to kind of move into this, this energy of emotion. A sub-theme for this month I was calling motion and emotion, because the Gemini energy is all about movement, you know, and then as we get towards the end of the month, the Cancer energies become very prominent, and that's about emotion. So it's, you know, the movement and motion, and then now we're moving into a more introspective energy. So here on June 21st, we have the Sun in Cancer making a conjunction to Mercury. And the emotions are going to run high, for better or worse. You know, it's a wonderful time for feeling, for journaling, for connecting, for being cozy in your home, for, you know, nestling into companionship with someone that's close to you. On the 23rd, we have the new moon at almost 3 degrees of Cancer. So there's this energy opening up around home and family. We do have a couple of challenging aspects with that new moon, with Saturn and Chiron, that could bring up old wounds. But we also have a really nice energy with Uranus, which could bring sudden insights that help you to view those wounds in a different way. It's really amazing how perspective can change everything, and that you can look back at an event or at a present event with certain eyes, and then if something happens and you shift how you're looking at it, that it can look radically different. So this is a theme that's beginning at the end of June and moving into July, where we're kind of feeling into how we're looking at our lives through the emotional lenses. So on June 24th, we have a beautiful aspect with Venus in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn. I see this as the power of unseen forces, or people in powerful positions, companies in powerful positions, anything that's like a lesser seen or harder to pin down, energy supporting your money, your love, your artistic expression. And this is really the last aspect of the month that I really love for trying to do much with, because even though we have a couple of aspects between June 25th and the 29th that have some sweetness to them, they're really just alternating these Mercury and Mars in Cancer with these aspects with outer planets and also with each other, that are just bringing a lot of up and down emotions. You know, the earlier part of the month is not very emotional. It's more action, and it's thinking and planning and action oriented. And as we get towards the end of the month, there's just a lot of feeling going on. And that, like I said, that trend is going to continue into July. So my recommendation for the end of the month is, you know, to ground your emotions as much as possible. I always love bare feet and hands in the earth with that third eye up against a tree. You know, anything that drains your energy field, Epsom salt baths, EFT tapping. There are a million ways you can clear your energy field, but you're going to need to do more of it, especially towards the end of the month. So when the energy is flowing well, just keep rolling on. And then when you have some things that come up that cause you to really need to feel, or you're confused, then just hold up. So that's going to be a theme for the whole month. So definitely sign up for my free email newsletter to get a written version of these things and more. I'm going to be launching my Astrology Apprenticeship Program and my Coach Certification course in very soon, at some point either at the end of June or into July. And if you're watching this before that time, you can still go to my website and send me an email through my pages for these programs to get first dibs on these courses when they open up, because they do fill quickly. And if I know beforehand that you're interested in them, then you'll get a pre-public chance at open slots before I open it up to the public. So if you want to be a coach as your job, as your profession, and learn how to bring that business online and have an internet presence, or if you want to learn astrology, or if you want to include astrology in your offering for your coaching, then I am your friend in this. This is my department. So check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Also see what's new on my blog. I hope you have a wonderful month and that you get lots of active productivity and just blasting forward into the direction of your dreams happening for you. And I'll see you next month. Bye.